Welcome back to Treasures from the Purans, a treasure chest of fascinating stories from the Puran genre of Indian literature. Today, I bring you Satyavati and the Kuru Dynasty. The sages gathered in the Nemish forest said to Suta, "O son of Lomharshan, you have told us the stories of the 8 Vasus cursed by Vashisht, the marriage of Ganga and King Shantanu, and the birth of Gangeya. Now, we are very curious to know how King Shantanu came to marry Satyavati, a fisherman's daughter." Suta said, "O Munis, the charming Satyavati was also known as Matsya Gandha because of the constant smell of fish that emanated from her. But, as you know, thanks to sage Parashar's boon, that smell changed into an intoxicating musky fragrance which could be smelt from 1 yojan or 8 miles away. So instead of Matsya Gandha, she came to be known as Yojan Gandha." You can listen to that story in the 4th episode of this podcast, titled Matsya Gandha. One day, while out on a hunt shooting deer, boars, and other wild animals, King Shantanu reached the banks of the Yamuna, where an indescribably unusual fragrance reached his nostrils. He wandered around to find the source of that fragrance. It wasn't that of mandar flowers, or champak, or malti, or musk. "What can it be?" he thought, as a strong breeze brought with it another puff of that peculiar fragrance. Following the smell, the puzzled king came upon an exquisitely beautiful woman dressed in simple clothes sitting by the Yamuna. The fragrance was emanating from her. The king was intrigued. Was she a Devi, a human, or a Gandharva or Naga girl? He couldn't come to any conclusion and remembered how he had found Ganga on the bank of the river Ganga. He went up to her and addressed her. "O beautiful one," he said, "who are you? And why are you alone in this forest? O doe-eyed one, are you married or not? Who is your father? Please tell me all this." The shy and lovely Satyavati said, "O king, I am a fisherman's daughter. I ferry people across the river. I am alone because my father has gone home just now." By now, the king was completely smitten by her. "I am King Shantanu of the Kuru Dynasty, and I want to marry you," he said. "I have no other existing wife, so you will be my queen. Please accept my proposal. My former wife left me," he continued, "and I have not married since. But after having seen you, the desire to marry is foremost in my mind." Satyavati exclaimed, "O king, I reciprocate your sentiments. But you will have to ask my father. I may be a fisherman's daughter, but I am an obedient daughter, so I will do as my father says." She sighed before continuing, "The god of love is tormenting me even more, but I must be patient and respect my family traditions." Needless to say, King Shantanu was mighty pleased and went to the fisherman's house right away and asked a surprised father for his daughter's hand in marriage. Replying to the king, the fisherman said, "O king, it is a matter of joy for me that you want to marry my daughter, but you will have to make a promise." "What is it that you want me to promise?" asked the king restlessly. "You have to promise," said the fisherman, "that her son will succeed you to the throne. No other son of yours will become the king after you." Shantanu was completely flummoxed. He remembered his son Gange and quietly returned to his palace. But he was so smitten with Satyavati that he continued to be anxious and lovesick. He neither ate nor slept well and conducted his royal duties distractedly. When this continued for a few days, the wise Gangeya came to him and said, "O father, pray tell me what worries you. Which enemy do you wish to defeat? Who do you want to conquer? It is my duty as a son to understand what worries you so much and help you resolve it." A son is born to repay the debts he owes his father from a previous life. He waited for his father to respond. But when he didn't, Gangeya continued. Ram renounced his kingdom and went away to the forest to obey his father Dashrath. Harishchandra's son Rohit was ready to repay his father's debt and was sold by him. There are many other such instances of sons obeying their father even when the task was considered seemingly difficult by people. So, dear father, please tell me what I should do to remove your anxiety. As long as I live, you should not have to worry about anything at all. Even if I die in fulfilling your wish, I will happily do so. Hearing his son's words, Shantanu felt embarrassed and said, "O son, my biggest worry is that you are my only son. You are powerful and valiant, but what if due to a stroke of bad luck you were to die in battle? I will then have no child. So this is what worries me, son, that I have only one son. I have no other worries that I need to share with you." Gange was not convinced by his father's words and sought the help of senior ministers to find out what really was the matter. They were successful in their endeavor, and having discovered the problem, Gange went to Satyavati's house and spoke to her father. "Sire," he said, "please let my father marry your daughter. She will be like a mother to me, and I will always do her bidding." The fisherman replied, "O highly fortunate one, their son will not become king while you are there. So why don't you marry Satyavati instead?" Gangeya replied, "I promise that not I, but your daughter's son will become the king after me." The fisherman was not satisfied. "I trust your words," he said, "but your son may try to usurp the throne from my grandson." At this point, Gangeya declared, "To rule out any such possibility, I take a vow here never to marry. I will remain a bachelor all my life." Because of this dreadful vow, Gangeya came to be known as Bhishma. Shantanu and Satyavati were then duly married. Meanwhile, Vedvyas, Satyavati's son from sage Parashar, lived in a hermitage where many sincere students like Asit, Deval, Vaishampayan, Jaimini, Sumantu came to learn at his feet. After completing their studies, they went away to spread their learning and live by it. With his son too having gone away to Mount Kailash and then left his bodily form, Vyasa's mind became agitated and sorrowful, and he decided to move to another place. He chose the spot on the banks of the Ganga where he was born. When he reached there, he inquired about his mother and found out that she was now the queen. Happy to hear that, he erected a hermitage there where he continued leading a life of penance. Meanwhile, 2 sons were born to Satyavati and Shantanu. They were named Chitrangad and Vichitravirya. Shantanu lived happily in the company of his beloved Satyavati and the 3 sons and died peacefully at a ripe old age. After his death, Bhishma performed the last rites and then crowned his brother Chitrangad the king. He became known as Devavrat, or one who truthfully keeps his vow like a divine being would. Chitrangad was a powerful ruler and was feared by his enemies. One day, when out hunting in the forest, he was accosted by a Gandharva, also named Chitrangad. A fierce battle ensued between the two and carried on for 3 years, at the end of which Chitrangad was slain by the Gandharva. The Kuru clan was very distressed by the news, and after the last rites were completed, Vichitravirya ascended the throne. Soon after this, Bhishma thought it was time now that the new king got married. Around this time, the king of Kashi, or present-day Varanasi, organized a Swayamvar for the marriage of his 3 daughters, Amba, Ambika and Ambalika. A Swayamvar was a ceremony in ancient times where prospective bridegrooms were invited and the bride would choose her husband. Thousands of kings were invited on this occasion. On the day of the Swayamvar, however, Bhishma came riding his chariot and, defeating the kings in battle, carried away the 3 princesses to the Kuru capital Hastinapur. Once there, he informed Satyavati and went about organizing the marriage of Vichitravirya with the 3 princesses. However, Amba, the eldest of the 3, went to Bhishma and said, "O best of the Kurus, you are a knower of dharma. I want you to know that in the gathered assembly, I had already mentally selected to marry King Shalva, and it was evident by the look we exchanged that he too had reciprocated my sentiments." On hearing this, Bhishma consulted his mother and the council of ministers, and then told Amba, "O beautiful one, you can go wherever you want." Amba happily left for King Shalva's house. But when she reached there, Shalva refused to marry her. "O beautiful one," he said, "when Bhishma caught you by the wrist and took you away on his chariot, how can I now marry you, even though his intentions were not to marry you himself?" A heartbroken Amba wept bitterly and returned to Bhishma. "O great warrior," she said, "Shalva refused to marry me, as you had taken me away forcibly. Now it's only proper that you marry me." "How can I accept you, O lovely one? For I have vowed never to marry," said Bhishma. "So it's best that you return to your father's house." A distressed Amba did not return to her father's house, but chose to go away to the forest and do severe penance with the only ambition of taking revenge on Bhishma. How that happened is another story. Meanwhile, Vichitravirya married Ambika and Ambalika, And the three lived happily for 9 years, after which the king contracted tuberculosis and died. A grief-stricken Satyavati mourned the death of both her sons and also became deeply concerned about the continuance of the Kuru bloodline. Calling Bhishma, she spoke to him in confidence. "O highly fortunate one," she said, "you must govern your father's kingdom now and marry one of your brother's wives so that the Kuru clan does not perish." "O mother," said Bhishma, "you know well of my vow. I will never marry and never be king." Satyavati was very worried now. She spent many sleepless nights worrying about the issue of no issue. Seeing her distress, Bhishma said, "O mother, do not worry. Let's try to find a way to solve this. Call upon a good high soul and ask him to have intercourse with one of my brother's wives. According to the laws of dharma, doing this to keep alive the family bloodline is permissible." Hearing this, Satyavati thought of her first son, Vyas. As soon as she thought of him, the great ascetic, blazing like the sun, was by her side, as he had promised he would do whenever she needed him. He heard his mother's instructions and, thinking of it as divine will, decided it must be obeyed. So he stayed on in the palace and at the right time went to Ambika's chambers. Ambika, though willing in principle, got scared at the sight of the radiant persona of Vyas and closed her eyes during intercourse. Because of this, the son born to her in due course was blind, though otherwise healthy. He was named Dhritarashtra. Satyavati was saddened to see this and requested Vyas and Ambalika this time. Ambalika too, though willing in person, turned pale at the sight of Vyas, and a pale son was born to her. He was named Pandu. Satyavati thought the new child looked a bit sickly to be king. So she summoned Vyas again at the end of the year and asked Ambalika to go to him. Ambalika, however, decided not to go this time and sent one of her maids to Vyas's chamber. The maid in time gave birth to Vidur, who grew up to become an important person in the royal household, whose wise counsel was valued. I have now told you the story of how my guru Vyasdev begot 3 powerful sons and ensured the continuity of the Kuru bloodline, said sage Suta. Srimad Bhagavatam Punyam Nanakyanakavanvitam Dvepayan Mukhodbhutam Panchalakshana Sangyutam Shrinvatam Sarvapapagnam Shubhadam Sukhadam Tatha Itihasamidam Punyam Kirtitam Munisattama.